Hey y'all, happy Sunday and welcome to this week's live Q&A session. This is the portion of the show where we allow YouTube to send out notifications that we're going live. If you're watching this live Q&A on replay, please scrub ahead until this graphic disappears and the actual show begins. If you're watching live and you have any comments or questions, please go ahead and put them in the live chat. But for now, grab a beverage, sit back, and relax while the countdown timer does its thing. Then we'll get started. Hey y'all, happy Sunday. Winding down from a busy weekend. Hope yours went well. Hope you and yours are doing okay as well. Oh man, well, February 2nd, Groundhog Day. Everybody's talking about it. For those outside the U.S. that have no idea what Groundhog Day is, basically it's a kind of a regional tradition here. That came from a superstition by the Pennsylvania Dutch that basically says on February 2nd, if the groundhog comes out of his burrow and sees his shadow, it means we're going to have 6 more weeks of winter. If he comes out of his burrow and doesn't see his shadow, means we're going to have an early spring. My bet is on March 20th, same as always, but who knows? It brings in a lot of revenue to Pennsylvania. Poxitawney, Pennsylvania is where they have a big, huge celebration and everything. So, I mean, I don't know. It's also a great Bill Murray movie. If you've got a little bit of time and want to just watch a good, funny movie, Groundhog Day will entertain you. Believe me. Today is an open Q&A. We can, if you have any questions at all, feel free to go ahead and throw them in the chat. I do have a topic to talk about based on an email that I got earlier this week. But before we get into anything else, I want to say hello to my friend Steve, who not only has thawed out from the freak snowstorm they got, he's in the 70s today. Yeah, we've already hit our high of 39. But be that as it may, I want to sing Steve's praises again like I do every weekend. Look, I'm serious about this too. If you're even toying with the idea of a website, a web store, you want to list your products and services for sale, maybe you just want to vlog a little bit. Um, well, blog a little bit or vlog a little bit. He can hook you up with that too. Embed YouTube videos in your website. Hey, great, double the traffic. There's no better way to do it than with your own website. And Steve at Harneal Media can take care of you. He can do as much or as little on that website as you want. If you're well versed in running a website and just need somebody to take care of the back end, he can handle that. If you're like me and don't know what the heck you're doing, he can take care of that as well. Very, very competitively priced. It's 100% personalized service. And that's one of the many things I like about Harneal Media is when you deal with Harneal Media, you're dealing with Steve, not some nameless, faceless person in a call center somewhere that you'll never contact again. You 100% deal with Steve, and he's very, very good at what he does. So do yourself a favor. There's a link to Harneal Media in every video and live stream on this channel. It's that way for a reason. Click that link, get over there, hit the contact us button, and shoot him a message. And you'll be glad that you did. Believe me. Thank you, Steve, for everything you do. I appreciate you more than you'll ever know. So, the email I got was I don't use names, and but I will this time, just a first name from a gentleman named Mike, and he had an interesting question. He makes toys for kids, makes all kinds of kids toys on his CNC machine, and he's currently building some toy wagons. They use 5-inch diameter, 3/4 inch thick wooden wheels. He found a company that makes rubber treads for these wheels, but it needs a 3/8 of an inch deep by 3/8 of an inch wide groove around the perimeter of the wheel. He can't figure out how to make the slotting bit drop down outside the wheel, cut into the slot, rotate around, then come out before it lifts up. And he wanted to know, do I have a video that covers anything like that? Well, first of all, no, I don't. I don't have a video that covers that. But there is a way to do it. Now, at first, I told him that the hard part would be finding a bit. He told me, well, no, it's actually pretty easy. I have a slot cutter. So I said, okay, let me go look that up. And one of the many slot cutters that I found is the Whiteside 3110. Now, I put a link to the Whiteside 3110 down in the description of this live stream. However, I have to say, they suggest do not use it on a CNC router. Okay. It is made for cutting slots on a router table for for instance, tongue and groove paneling. One way of cutting that groove. Or it could cut not dados, rabbits or rebates, as you call them, across the pond. They are not meant for hand routers. They are not meant for CNC routers. So I really wrestled with myself on whether I would recommend this bit or not. So I'm going to give a disclaimer right here and right now and say if you do this, you're on your own. I am not recommending this because the manufacturer does not recommend this. But if you're going to do it, I'll try to help you with a few warnings. First of all, the recommended RPM is 12 to 14,000. That means for those of you who are using a router, slow and steady wins the race. Okay. Now, Pete over at Nature's Live Edge says I've used a slot cutter many times on my CNC, and there are a lot of people who have. However, I'm recommending caution because the company doesn't support that. They say, no, I wouldn't do it. That's probably how I would do it too, Butch, but you certainly can do it on a CNC. We'll get into that right now. I've gone ahead and I've added a piece of material to my project here. And I've drawn a 5-inch diameter wheel the way he described it. Okay. Now, he also said that he wants to cut a 3/8 of an inch deep, 3/8 of an inch wide slot. So for you metric folks, that is about 9.5 millimeters, 3/8 of an inch. Okay. So what I would do to help kind of regulate to get my cut depth, all right, I would offset this circle by the depth that I want to cut. Now he wants to come in that 3/8 of an inch. So I'll offset that vector inwards by 3/8 of an inch, 0.375, and offset. Okay. So that would be, this is going to be kind of freaky here. Just bear with me. This would be how deep that slot is cut. Okay. So now we'll go over here and we're going to calculate 2 profile tool paths. The first tool path I'm going to have to run is a profile tool path to cut this shape because I've got to cut it out of my material. So we'll go ahead and I'm going to cut the full depth of my material. So Z equals, and I'm going to use a 1/4 inch end mill. Use that. Select. I'm going to cut to the outside of that vector. For this demonstration, I'm not going to do anything else, no separate last pass, anything else, ramps or any of that other stuff for this one. Okay, and I'm going to call this cutout. And we'll calculate. And we'll go ahead and preview it. Now, with that piece cut out, just for my own sanity, I would probably do a little bit of creative, a little bit of creative material mounting here. I would probably also cut my axle hole right here. Then on my, when it comes to mounting the piece, what I would do is I would mount another block of scrap underneath it, say something like this. I would mount this to the table, then take a screw and drive it through the center of that axle hole and screw it down onto this piece of scrap. That is so this bottom edge here is up off of the table, just in case. Okay. So with that done, now I need to select this vector. And I'm going to create another profile toolpath. Now, whoops, I'm sitting here trying to rock my 2D view, and I can't do that. Here in the 3D view, this piece of material is 3/4 of an inch thick. The slot is supposed to be 3/8 of an inch wide, as well as 3/8 of an inch deep. So what I need to do, 3/8 is half of 3/4. What I'll need to do is I'll need to divide that 3/8 in half, which is 3/16 of an inch. And I'm going to leave that much of a rim here and that much of a rim here. The reason I'm bringing this up is because this is going to determine my start depth. So my start depth is going to be 3/16 of an inch. I want this bit to come down and start cutting down in here. I don't want it to cut from the top. So I don't remember the decimal equivalent of 3/16. Thank you, Vectric, for giving me this calculator. We'll go 3/16 equals 0.1875. So the bit's going to come down and start cutting 0.1875. Okay. We want it to cut 3/8 of an inch deep from here. So go 0.375. For the bit, I have mocked up that white side bit in my tool database as a standard end mill. Now remember, Vectric Software will not preview a bit that creates an undercut. Okay? It will not create an undercut, or it will not display that. And that's what this is going to do. So I'll select that bit. Let me go back into that. Nope, cancel. Let me go back into this bit because this is something that is going to have to be paid attention to. It's going to be a little bit weird here because we're cutting in from the side. That is actually our cut depth. We want it to come in 3/8 of an inch, but we have to think about how much material we're cutting in per pass. How many, it's not going to spiral in to our cutting depth of 3/8 of an inch. It's going to come in and cut a little bit, go all the way around, come in more, go all the way around. That's going to be controlled by the step over. So we're going to have to use a very low step over until we get used to this bit. All right. I've got a step over set of 5%. That is 75 thousandths. We'll see how that bit cuts. I may bring this up, let it cut a little bit more. I may take it down and have it cut a little bit less. But the step over is what's going to control how much material it takes off as it's cutting in from the side edge. Okay. So we'll close that. I'm not going to do a separate last pass, but I am going to use a lead. And this is where we get it to start cutting, say, out here and move in without dropping straight down through the material here. Okay. So I'll add a lead, and I'm going to use a circular lead. For a radius, I'll use a 1-inch radius. My lead length is going to be 1 inch. I'm going to do a lead out with an overcut of 1 inch. Okay. No, I need to account for the diameter of the bit. So my lead length is going to be, I'm going to leave that alone. My lead length is going to be 1.5 with an overcut distance of 1 inch. I'm actually going to be working with the radius and not the diameter. Yeah, we're okay there. And now I'll rename this slot. Now it's going to cut 4 passes. That's fine. Now we're going to look at this toolpath, calculate it. Here's where it goes. It's going to, let's tip it up, move it around here. Now remember, light blue are plunge moves. The green are retract moves. So what it's going to do is it's going to come down to its first cutting depth, its first pass right here, and it's going to cut inwards. Then it's going to retract out. It'll go all the way around, come out, lift up, go back over, come down to the second plunge. Okay. And do that for all 4 of these passes to cut this area right here. Now, let me go here. Let's see. Why not cut around the circle deep enough for the slot cutter to be able to drop near the wheel, leaving it connected at the bottom? Well, you could do that. But remember, this cutter is 1.5 inches diameter. Okay? The 1.5 inch diameter, that's you're going to be cutting a wide pocket around it. You certainly could. But you're going to have to cut 1.5 inch wide pocket around that material if you want to leave that there. Now, I get your point, especially if they want to cut many such wheels from one piece of stock. Yeah, you certainly could do that. The whole point of this is using the leads to get the bit where the bit starts away from the edge of the wheel that you want left there. Okay. Jay Scotia, don't you need to account for the width of the cutter? If the cutter is 1/4 inch, you need the top of the cutter 3/16 below the stirrup. Yes, you're absolutely right. My mistake there. Absolutely right. You do need to account for the width of this cutter edge right here. And according to this, it's 1/4 inch. So I would need 3/16 plus 1/4. See, this is why I would check it out on scrap, because I don't know if it's going to start from this edge or this edge. Probably this edge. Probably this edge. So yeah, there's a lot to figure out. Would not be safer to cut 2 pieces with the right size pocket rabbet on each side and glue them together, creating the groove all the way around. I'm with you, Alan. That's how I would do it. That's how I would do it. I would cut 2 pieces. A jig would be a benefit since this needs to be repeatable. Drill the axle hole first on the drill press, then mount the blank to the jig using threaded rod in the jig. Yes. Yes. If they manufacture those, they would probably benefit from using some jig for efficiency, e.g. like stacking multiple wheels, cutting around them as a group. Well, yeah, that's true. Personally, I would go with Alan. I would cut 2 pieces and then go for it. You know, get you 2 3/8 or 1/2 inch pieces and then machine it down. That's how I would do it as well. But the overall point is this is where using leads comes into play, because your bit, nope, wrong one, that slider there. And we'll draw the tool and we'll preview this. The bit's going to come down, then move in. Well, I can speed it up a little bit faster than that. Well, there's a lot going on right now. And again, it's not going to display anything with an undercut, but you see, all right. Yeah, I can see the depth it's cutting now. And go for it. All right, let's go ahead and stop it. That's moving way too slow. It's got too much stuff going on here. Come on. You can stop. Um, router table, yeah. Uh, table saw, possibly. If you rigged up the right kind of jig, you could stack up a 3/8 inch dado stack and run it. But I think the 2-piece solution would be better for me. Just my opinion, and I'm nobody. I would prefer to cut it in 2 pieces. Just resaw it. But overall, in general, using leads. Now, I almost said something stupid. Using leads is a way to get a bit to start away from the material, plunge down to the cutting depth, then move into the material, cut its way around, then move out without lifting up while it's in the material. So So that's the name of that tune. That's how I would do that. Again, I think I would prefer to just make them in two halves. Oops. Rabbit in one half and pocket in the other, then glue them together. Yeah. Yeah, that's how I would do it too. I mean, it works for semi trucks. Let's see. I saw a question up here. Okay, Tommy Bledsoe. I worked until after 3 a.m. this morning figuring out how to fix overlaps in vectors. I accidentally exited the program and lost everything I had done. Is there any way to get this back? The short answer is no. There isn't. When you exit the program, it should ask you if you want to save it. Yes, you should save it. Save early, save often. They don't have autosave, and they have no plans on adding autosave, simply because in a situation like this where we've got a relatively small file here, this would just be a few kilobytes. We've got 2 vectors and 2 toolpaths. Autosave wouldn't really be much. It wouldn't really, it would be no problem. But if I had a complex 3D model out here with 13 or 14 or 15 components over here, and autosave kicked in, it would prevent me from doing anything else while this is saving, and it may take a while. Yes, they could make it to where autosave, you could turn it off, but they've just decided that it would be easier just not to include autosave, you know. And Dwayne is 100% right. If you're not sure on whether to save, use increment and save. And that file, increment and save. And all that will do is it'll save the current state of your project without changing the original project. So, all right. So let's go ahead and take that out. Yeah, I agree 100%. It would be very easy to program and get that done as a 2-piece. So let's see here. John Thumb, welcome back. Would you not recommend an ATC for a new CNC person? Difficult to use. I don't know that I would say I wouldn't recommend it. It's going to add some complexity. If you have never used a CNC router, it's the setting up, I think, that would add complexity. But that's, I mean, you know your skill level. If you're mechanically inclined and if you're thinking about getting a CNC that has an ATC or as an option, I would say go ahead and get it if it's an option for your machine, if it's within your budget, because it's optional whether you use that ATC or not. Okay. Depending upon your controller software. I, I, you know, we all have limitations. We all know our skill levels. And if you're being 100% honest with you, with yourself. You will know when you're getting in over your head. So if I don't know, man, it's real easy for me to spend other people's money. Um, I think once you learn the machine, then it's time to start accessorizing. But then again, if it's within your budget and it's offered as an option, nothing's saying you have to install it right away. Get the machine up and running, learn how to use it, learn how to use the control software. Then you can start adding things like automatic tool changers and what have you. So I don't know that I would say no, I wouldn't recommend it for someone just starting out. If it's within your budget and it's an option for your machine, there's nothing saying you have to mount it on day one, you know? So I'll leave that up to you. Let's see here. Dwayne's asking, once you've saved, does undo still work? Yes, it does. Um, let me go ahead and I'll close that, flip over here. We'll add a star. Captain America. There we go. Shaboom. Now I'll save as, and I'll just put it on my desktop so I can delete it when I'm done here. And we'll call it Star Wheel and save it. Now, can I Control Z and remove that? Yes, I can undo it. Control Z again. That undid that offset. Control Z again. Now, I have changed it, but it's saved with that original, in that original form. So undo still works even after I've saved it. Now I'll Control Y to bring all those back. And there we go. So Donovan says, I'm working on adding an aftermarket ATC and it can be a challenge. Yes. Yes. Pete says an ATC can be an excellent upgrade for production work or if you have to do a lot of tool changes in your projects. Yes. Excuse me. I don't want an ATC. I don't need an ATC. I don't do production work. Everything I make is a one of a kind. I may do 2 or 3 copies of it, depending on what the kids or grandkids want. If they want one all of a sudden, for instance, I made breadboards a couple years ago for Christmas, and all of them were the same shape. But I only made like 4 of them. I still have that file if I need to get into it and make 3 or 4 more. But it's not really super necessary, I guess. So I have no desire for an ATC. It would just be overcomplication. I would have to bring in a compressor to use for the ATC, and I don't have space for it. Just a lot of things. I don't even have space for an ATC, I don't think. So, let's see here. Rich Bratcher says, I had to flatten a slice cookie from a log. I didn't like the outcome just doing a raster because of the cross grain witness marks. Okay. So I ended up making a 20-inch diameter spiral profile toolpath. Doing a spiral eliminated the cross grain cutter marks, worked well. Just took time to learn how to draw a spiral. Um, I don't know, Rich, if you are using VCarve Pro or Aspire. Let me get rid of the star here. Could delete that. And I'm going to move it to a new layer. Just call it layer 2, and I'll leave it the same color. And then come up and I'll make layer 1 active, turn off layer 2. I've got a 5-inch diameter circle. You're using VCarve Pro. Okay, good. I don't know if you went in and found the spiral gadget. There is a spiral gadget. I don't have it installed. So I'll go to, let's see, I'll start a new one here. I'll go to Vectric Gadgets. There's the V12 gadgets. And we'll come down here and I want to use a Toolpath gadget. And maybe it's not a Toolpath gadget. Which one is it? Not circle resize, not fluter. Drawing, maybe? There it is, the spiral creator. All right. So I'll click on the spiral creator. I'll download the gadget. And I'll put it in my downloads folder. Oh, it already exists. It must be. Okay, cancel. I must have it in VCarve Pro, but not in Aspire. Well, there it is. That's how to get it. So go to Gadgets, Install New Gadget. I'll go to my Downloads folder. Aha! Spiral Gadget. Open. Okay, I agree. Gadget successfully installed. Go to Gadget. There's my spiral gadget. Now, where do I want my, no, it's not under wrapping. That's a different spiral gadget. This is for doing flat spirals. Where do I want my anchor point? I want my anchor point to be in the center. Okay. You're going to have to play around with which you like, the golden, involute, Archimedes, or logarithmic spiral. They are different. Unfortunately, this preview window doesn't tell you what these are. Okay. Now here's the width in X. I want my width to be 5 inches. How many times around do I want it to wrap? I don't know. Let's look at this and see what it does. It went 3 times. Now we'll close it. That's not the kind of spiral I want. So Control Z to undo. Whoops, wrong one. Control Y. Redo that. Let's delete that spiral and see what. Gadgets, spiral. Leave the same settings. Let's try an Archimedes spiral. Apply. There we go. That's better. Don't know that it is better. But that's going to help you to figure out a spiral. I think I would do a few more turns than just 3. Gadgets, spiral. Let's go with involute and let's go 6 times around. Apply, close. Well, that went way outside the lines. But that's okay if you're surfacing. So why does it not start at the center? Good question. Because that probably because of the type of, come on, probably because of the type of spiral I selected. Spiral gadget, and let's go with a golden. Apply. Nope, that's even worse. And spiral, I believe it was the Archimedes that did the best. Okay. Apply that, close it. Yes, that did the best, the Archimedes spiral. Maybe you should move it post creation. Yes, you can do that. This one started close to the center, but you know, you can get into it in click off node editing. Look at all the points. So you can get in and adjust all of this, believe me. Let's see what happens if we do this. Preview. That would be so much better. A lot fewer points. Boink. And then go into node editing and you can move things around, tighten things up. Even, we're all right there. But that could all be node edited. It's just making that initial spiral. You have the spiral gadget. And it does help. Now, as far as getting into wrapping, there is a spiral layout, but remember this is for the spiral on the rotary axis. So two different things. I just meant moving the entire vector. Yes, I know that, but you could also move individual points was my point. Can you move the spiral vector to the center point? Yes, absolutely. Once you've created this, it's just like any other vector. You can move it however you'd like, bring it down, bring it over, resize it, do whatever you need. I could resize it. It's 5 inches by 4.773. Let's make this 5.5 so that it is bigger than the whole thing. There we go. Close. And now I'll need to scoot it over like so. And we'll go back into node editing, make this the start point. So it starts off of the cookie and then comes in and spirals towards the center. So all kinds of little things you can get in and do it. So personally, I prefer plunges to be off of the material when I'm surfacing. I also prefer, I surface along the Y, moving up and down this direction. I prefer my X moves to be made off of the material as well, so that the bit just takes a pass this way, scoots over, comes back that way. So that's just me. So, okay, let's back out of here. Was that it? I believe that was the last question. We have no other questions? Okay. Working a small tray with a 3/4 inch bowl and tray bit, doing 2 tool paths, one with 40% step over at 8% for finishing bottom. Finishing path steps out about an 1/8 inch, both on the same vector. Not sure why. You are not the first one to bring that to me, Donovan. I would shoot Vectric a Vectric support an email, because I'm not sure why that does that either. And a couple of people have come to me with that question. I don't have an answer. I'm going to have to send them an email as well, because nobody's ever come back to me to tell them what their response was. But you're not the first person to say that. Basically, with a on a finishing pass, it wants to move outward, overcut that vector, and I don't know why that is. But I'm very interested if they give you a reason for that, because that shouldn't happen, you know. So Tony Patterson says, I'm using a digital woodcarver CNC. All right. With VCarve 12. All right. Can you explain how to zero to the bed? Yes. And I've done a video on it, and in version 12, I will go find the link to that video. In fact, I have two videos on the subject. One is how to, when and how to set your Z0 to the machine bed, and another one on how to use the machine bed for some tool paths in a file and the material surface in other tool paths to the file. So I'll link both of those down in the description as soon as we're done here. I've written myself a note to post that link in the description as soon as we're finished. It's relatively easy to do. The only thing you have to remember is that you set your Z0 to the machine bed. If you come here in the Vectric software in your job setup and you set your material to the machine bed, okay? And it's going to tell me I need to recalculate. Yes, recalculate, yada, yada, yada. Okay, all the tool paths have been recalculated. Great. If you do set it to the machine bed here, then outside on the CNC router, you forget and you set it to the material surface, what's going to happen is whatever thickness you have here in your material, the bit is going to start cutting that high above the material. So it's not going to hurt. It's just not going to touch the surface of the material. Okay. The problem comes in is if you think, if you set this to the material surface, and you set your Z0 on the machine bed outside on the machine, now you've got problems, because it thinks that your machine bed is the material surface. It's going to go over and go through your material on its way to the machine bed. Okay. So you just have to remember which you actually set. Did I set this for machine bed or material surface? So be very careful there, especially if you don't do it all the time. But again, I have two videos, and whoa, Steve being Johnny on the spot, there he is. That's zero to bed or surface, and that is zero to the bed and the surface. So, oh man, I see your question, Paul, and about saving toolpaths as a template. How to use on multiple signs. How do I go about doing that? I have a video on how to save a design as a template, but I don't yet have a video. I don't yet have a video on using Toolpath templates. I am going to be doing a video, and in fact, I'm not going to promise it next week, maybe the week after. That will be the first instructional video I do is Toolpath templates. That's a good one. Thank you. Because that comes in handy on a lot of things. All right. Design templates are real easy. Toolpath templates, they're easy, but they have kind of, I won't say a limited application, but they are a little bit different. So I will do that video in the next couple of weeks. Leo Steger, howdy. Leo is asking, can we visit the wheels? I make some every year. I put a hole in the center and bolt them down. Yes. And then how do you, the question on the wheels was how do you create how do you cut the center for a rubber tire tread? Let me get rid of that spiral. I don't need that. And we'll bring back layer 2. So layer 1 is spiral. I forgot about that. So what was the what was your question, Leo, or did you not have a question? My whole purpose in bringing up the wheel here was to talk about using leads to allow a bit to plunge away from the actual workpiece itself. That was my entire point. Let's see. Thank you for being so helpful. Wow, you're welcome. Okay, Leo. Leo says he would use the slot cutter as I described. Okay, I don't know, Leo. Number one, I don't have a slot cutter bit. I saw somebody ask about a surfacing bit. My surfacing bit does not have that type of tooth. My surfacing bit is a 3-wing. My surfacing bit, let me take this down so you can see it, is a 3-wing cutter that has the carbide blades. So it's not going to cut in. All right. So I wouldn't use that type of surfacing bit. I don't know that a surfacing bit is interchangeable with a slot cutter. They're made for different things. Having said that, I don't know. Again, you do this at your own risk. I'm not recommending anybody do it. I'm not recommending anybody cut in from the side on that type of a thing. I'm not saying it can't be done. It's obvious it can be done. It's done in metal machining all the time. So, excuse me. On smaller jobs, a keyway cutter could do that. Well, yeah, if you think about it, using a keyhole bit, that's exactly what you're doing. You know. Jay Scotia says I would do it as Mark showed, but would use multiple passes with offsets to not go the whole 3/8 depth as one. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Can I import a picture into VCarve? Sure can. You sure can. And there is an icon for that. right here, top row under File Operations, third icon is Import a Bitmap. Or you could go to File, Import, Vectors, or a Bitmap. Either one. So, okay. Leo uses the cutter. However, I use a Bridgeport mill. Yeah. And like I said, it's done in metal machining all the time. But this is not a Bridgeport mill. So it's something that most folks need to wrap their head around. And it can do it. It can certainly do it. So, okay. Well, I think we're kind of slowing down on the questions. So if you have any, feel free to go ahead and post them in the chat here. I do need to give everyone fair warning. We're about 4 weeks out yet, but I'll repeat myself over the next 3 weeks. There will not be a live Q&A session Sunday, March 2nd. We will be out of town. We'll be down in Redding, California at my wife has the Reading bagpiping competition. So we will be out of town that Sunday, March 2nd. There will not be a live Q&A session. I do plan on being back for the members only live stream on Monday, March the 3rd, but that's just a one-time thing for Sunday. So, Larry Blair says Bridgeport Mill with a rotary table. Yeah, So, taking the new car? Yes, we will. Okay. Paul Wilson says, if I have a question come up when you aren't live, how can I put that out to you all? Is there a forum for that? Not so much a forum. There is, you can put the question in the comments. If you go to the About page on my YouTube channel, there's my email address. If you feel like it, you can become a channel member and join the Facebook group, be part of our private chat, and all that other good stuff. We have an excellent time. This is a good segue. Channel members, tomorrow evening. I need your pictures. I need your suggestions, your comments, your concerns, and I need your project ideas. What do you want to see? This has always been about you. It's never been about me. What do you want to see? So, tomorrow evening, I'm not sure what we're going to do. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about or you'd like some information on how to become a channel member, right down below the video panel somewhere, I believe it's over by the subscribe button. You'll see the word join. That's a button. Click that button. You're not joining anything yet. A panel will pop up and a video will play and tell you all about channel membership. We have a great group of people. I have a private Facebook group for those who are on Facebook. We have a private chat. We do video calls all the time and give it a real good go. So, it's just a lot of fun. Sure, Mike. Mike's going to show us how he makes his picture frames tomorrow. Sure, sounds good. So, let's see. Bob Ferguson says CNC is against the wall and can't be moved out. I'd like to tile a project along the y-axis, but tiling always puts the origin at the bottom left. How do I get around this? Now, let me ask you this about that. When you set up, are you using this? Where are you putting your XY datum position? I don't know. I have never been in your situation. Okay. And let's say I'll cancel that. But I have my XY0 in the center. Let's go over here and let's say I want to tile this toolpath here. We'll go to tile toolpaths. Okay, toolpath tiling can only be used on job with the XY origin set to the bottom left corner. Okay, there it is. Use edit job size and position to change the origin to the bottom left corner. There it is. No. I guess not. I thought maybe there was a way around it to use like the top left or top right, but evidently not. It's flat out telling me it's got to be done on the bottom left corner. Sorry. Okay. So I think that was it. Michael Bernasconi is going to be getting into the his framing for his fabulous laser work. I mean, these guys are killing it. Bob says, thought I could swing the board around and get around it somehow. No, I'm sorry, but not that I can find. And you are not the first person. I don't know why I'm still sharing this. You are not the first person to wonder if they could put a piece of material in like this, cut this end, then flip it around and cut that end. Not using the tiling toolpath, they can't. So, you know, datum XY offsets, possibly, but I mean, you might have to fiddle with it. You can try that. I mean, but you are not the first person to wonder about that. And I imagine it's too long to go across your X. Otherwise, you'd have done that. Well, what can you say? Dang. Well, anyhows. Now, holy cow. Is it possible for you to take that piece and cut multiple pieces and then assemble them later? Like, for instance, cut this tile as a separate piece, then cut this tile as a separate piece, then cut this tile as a separate piece, then this tile as a separate piece, and assemble them later on. Because you can do that. You still have to move your XY datum position over here, but you would have to cut them as separate pieces and then assemble them off of the machine. Yes, but I was trying to avoid that. Well, either that or you're just going to have to knock out a wall. Now, it's real easy for me to spend other people's money, but it seems to me that you're in the same position I'm in, and that not enough shop. Sorry. I mean, sometimes you got to throw your hands up and say, dang it. Now, no, I'm not even going to say it. Never mind. I was wondering about cutting a pass through in the back wall of my shop. All right. Anyway, I'm not even going to go there. Too late. You already did. Members, I'll see you tomorrow for the members only live stream. Check the community tab here on my YouTube channel for the link. I can't promise a Toolpath template video next week, but I will work on it. Okay. I will try. For everybody else, thank you for spending part of your Sunday with me. I appreciate it more than you folks will ever know. And for, yeah, that's just going through the Rolodex in my brain. Let's call that good. I'll get this, the Z0 to the machine bed videos posted in the comments, or excuse me, in the description as soon as we're done here. Y'all take care. Have a great day. Go make some chips. Relax. Chill. Y'all take care.